Welcome to GC Cars. My name is Eric.
And I'm Jesse.
And this is the Honda Civic Type-R. Alrighty, we recently tested the Elantra N, so we now... Jesse?
Sorry, I'm using the table. I mean the spoiler. Spoiler alert.
Oh, wow, great. So yeah, we recently had the Elantra N, so naturally I had to test the Type-R. Beautiful, wonderful car. If it's as good as the Elantra N, which we really, really liked. We shall see. Brief look at the exterior, and then we're gonna hit the road. This has a few changes compared to your regular little Civic. First of all,
just a Civic, bro. No, it's not.
Civic, bro. It's got VTEC, bro. First of all, the biggest thing: white body. White body.
Champion
Civic.
white.
Championship white and white body.
His German accent makes him sound white sounds like wide, and wide sounds like white.
Everything's just wide, you know. It's like, but that makes a big difference. White body Civic sounds weird.
It does sound weird, right?
It does kind of work though, and of course, you know, we have different accents of the red Honda logo, the Type-R, our hood extractor here,
and that lip going across the front, the side, and the back. And
pretty
really
sleek
nice.
Looking.
The rims, for me, that's a highlight. I mean, flat black rims with red Brembo brake
They look
calipers.
really cool.
It's nice.
Some of the best rims we probably had, and wrapped around Pilot Sport for us, which we're going to talk about later.
Flat black is the key to my heart.
We do have a little bit of a rock collector here. You know, if you have a little kid, if they want to collect some rocks, you can always have your souvenirs from the beach day.
Black mirrors here, which are nice.
What is noteworthy always about the Type-R is only available as a hatch, unlike the normal Civic, which you can get a sedan.
Which I like, more useful.
It is more useful, which we're also going to talk about later. And then, of course, while we have our dinner plate here, if you want to eat...
I need one more bite.
You need one more bite. You can just use that perfectly. It does not obstruct your vision, by the way. If you're thinking, hey, that might obstruct my vision, it perfectly clears your vision from the inside. And well, we have triple exhaust.
I mean,
it's kind of dinky.
It's a bit extra.
Just like that motorcycle is a little bit extra. But I think it's time for us to make some noise as well. Let's hit the road.
Let's gun it and make my food fall off.
Alrighty, out in the Honda Civic Type-R. We're in R mode. We're in first gear in our manual transmission, and we're gonna push it to the ref limit that is in here. 3,500. Dump.
Oh my god. Okay.
She goes pretty well. She goes pretty well. Woo!
Wow. Okay.
So for the launch, just as a reference, there's no launch control, as far as we know.
We thought there was. I think the manufacturer said there was.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like, we tried to find it, and it's like we didn't find any information on how to practically do it, and it doesn't let me rev over 3,500 RPM. So that's why we get this wheel hop and all that. Anyhow, plenty of power. We have a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4 producing
315 horsepower, 310 foot-pound of torque,
which is quite a lot for a 4-banger Civic, especially.
Not only is it quite a lot, this is the fastest front-wheel drive car that we know of.
Yeah, like it has a Nordschleife record.
0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds,
which is kind of ridiculous for a Civic.
For a front-wheel drive, it's ridiculous.
It's pretty good. And yeah, so this is plenty of quick, and of course that sent, like we said, to the front-wheel drive through a 6-speed manual. And I love this manual. It is such a good manual. I know you're not the most experienced manual driver yet. We're working on that.
Yeah, compared to the Challenger that we drove last week, which wasn't a great car, but it didn't have the best transmission. Oh, there we go.
There we go. That was a better launch. That was a better launch.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I was a little bit long on the throttle for there.
There we go.
Yeah, no, honestly, this is beautiful. The throw of the shifter is...
The placement of the pedals.
Pretty much perfect. The placement of the pedals is great. You can heel-toe downshift easily. You have ref matching, automatic if you want it or need it, or you can just turn it off.
I need it.
No shame in that. Sometimes it's also just nice. I like to do it manually, even if it's not 100% perfect all the time. The engine is super responsive, so ref matching is incredibly easy and intuitive. This is probably the best manual I have ever driven, or at least one of the best manuals I've ever driven.
Fanboy's punching the air right now.
Right? So combining so much horsepower, such a great manual, we must have a great car here, Jesse, don't we?
I mean, yeah, don't we? I think so.
Unfortunately not. So as a disclaimer, I am not the biggest fan of front-wheel drive vehicles. That being said,
I don't think anyone specifically loves front-wheel drive vehicles, to be fair.
there's always some people.
Okay.
We did love the Elantra N.
Yes.
The Elantra N was just fantastic. That thing had us giggling like little schoolgirls.
Loved
the
it.
whole
But we didn't
review.
love it because it was front-wheel drive. We loved it
No.
because it was just an engaging car to drive.
I mean, you got into it and you didn't expect it to like it.
I was like, oh, okay, let's just drive, let's get the Elantra out of the way, you know.
Right.
And I was like, I was pricing it out after the video.
It was so good. It was so good. So thinking, okay, that's the legendary Type-R. I had super high expectations, and unfortunately, it is all not so rosy.
First of all, they should supply a pair of headphones with this car because this noise that they pump into the cabin is like ear piercing.
Let's see it.
At certain RPMs, it's so high frequency.
It's really disgusting. Let's go into my individual drive mode where we can set everything up, and that gets rid of that stuff. But yeah, then there's not much sound.
No, again, comparison to the Elantra N, that thing had burbles, and every time we shifted gears, it was like a new surprise.
Bang, it was so
It was great.
hilarious.
That's great.
This one doesn't really produce any interesting sounds.
You have 3 exhausts. Give us some sound.
Yeah,
3
give us something. I'm just assuming, they made sure, because like technically that's inefficiencies, right? And Honda was like, you know what, no inefficiencies, maximum power out of this VTEC engine. Okay.
And power it produces.
Power it produces, but my dislike about front-wheel drive vehicles is that they're inherently very limited, because your front axle not only has to steer and assist with the braking, but it also
It goes.
has to accelerate. And once you ask the front axle to accelerate, steer, and then potentially brake, or like if you're going to corner, brake, steer, and accelerate out, usually that doesn't end up very well, especially if you have 315 horsepower. And I do not know what other journalists mention when they say that this car drives fantastic and there's no torque steer. If you push this car, it's a mess. And this might not be Honda's fault. This might just be
It's probably not, to be fair.
pushing 300 horsepower out of a front-wheel drive car inherently limits it. But if you are driving this like you would drive usual cars with, you're trying to kind of get the top of the gear close to the end of the corner or so, like as you get out of the corner and you upshift, you kind of can, because your steering wheel will pull left, it'll pull right, every bump will completely upset the front axle.
Which and this
it's
road's
just-
pretty good, but there's a few bumps and it's kind of unnerving.
Yeah, especially it gets better. I've had my setup right now in the comfort suspension, because the hardest suspension mode is not good for the street. Fair enough. Elantra N was kind of similar. Like, you don't want to use it maybe outside of a track, but it is just like the Elantra N was so confidence inspiring. It was so communicative, which is probably my biggest gripe about the Type-R. The steering does not talk to me. Like, the Elantra N, you push to that limit and gradually the steering would way up. You would feel, okay, you're pushing more, you push more, that limit is coming. All the steering does is try to get away from you if you push it and you're not short shifting, which I started doing because that's the only way I can start focusing on cornering without this thing trying to freaking escape me. But yeah, it's just like the Elantra N was so communicative. You could push it to the limit very easy or close to the limit and you would always know where you are. This, if I push this to a corner, I feel like I'm at 5 different stages of limit every second. Like I go from, I have a lot of room, to suddenly this is completely front end limited, to once again, I have a lot of room, and then I hit a bump and my steering wheel wants to go to the left in a right hand turn, and then it straightens out to go to the right, and then it's just like, it doesn't settle down.
And full disclosure, the Elantra was automatic, but I don't think that really...
I've driven the same drivetrain as a manual way back, and I have not felt anything like this.
Let's see the corners.
Let's demonstrate. This is already it starts trying to escape from me. There's no doubt this thing is stupid quick. It is stupid quick. It is quicker than an Elantra N. The pilot's board for S's on this work. The suspension works. The drivetrain works. But I'm not having fun.
It just doesn't come together.
Yeah, it does not come together. This feels almost like it was made in a way that it focuses on numbers. It focuses on being fast. It focuses on being quick on a racetrack.
Which it succeeded
Oh god,
in that
it
regard.
does. It's stupidly quick. but like this steering robs me of any confidence I really have in this car.
There was a bump.
This, like, if I were in the hardest suspension mode right now, I would just try to get over all over the place. Softer suspension alleviates that, but it doesn't communicate. I feel like I'm more stressed out by the car, trying to like figure out what it will do next. And this is not like, oh, you've never driven a 300 horsepower car. Like, we've driven Black Wings, Camaros, I pushed Challengers here, like full throttle through corners. Like, it's not the limit. And it's a little unfortunate. Like this, there's a lot of really good things about this. Seating position, manual, like the power itself. But it just doesn't come together to be a compelling driver's car. But
Speaking of seating position, we never talked about the interior.
how about we get you in the driver's seat and then we switch
Sure.
to interior. All right, now you behind the wheel.
Now that the master of manual driving is behind the wheel. Watch out, folks. Hide your kids, hide your wife.
And just for the record, okay, before anybody like who never knows our videos, Jessie is just a new driver with like manuals. Like, I mean, not
I can
a new
drive.
driver.
I can drive. It's just not great at manual.
Yeah, like he's still getting used to that, but he wants to enjoy it, so that's why like, okay, just cut him some slack. Anyhow, we'll see what you like. But while you're warming up a little bit, maybe we can talk about the interior for a second, which we kind of glanced over. I did a full-on Civic review at an earlier point, a couple of months ago, actually a year or two ago, and it's a good interior. Honestly, I like it. It's comfy. We have these red seats, red carpeting, which is kind of interesting, and this mesh. Everything works well. Infotainment and all that is good. Physical HVAC.
I don't want to use the same term I used for the last 3 videos, but you know I want to use it.
Oh, don't use it.
I don't shop there, but
it's Loblaws, right? And plenty of space. This is a hatchback, 24.5 cubic feet of space. So this literally has as much space as like compact SUVs.
Yep.
And you can put down the second row. So in that regard, it's more practical than an Elantra N, especially because the Elantra had like the bracing.
Woo.
And it's capable.
Oh yeah.
It does. But do you feel communication through the wheel? Do
No.
you feel the front loading up? No, it doesn't. What I notice helps is to short shift this if you're cornering hard, because once you have all that torque and power on the front wheels, that and the suspension bumps and the hard cornering, that's when the car really is like, all right, this is too much for me.
I think you were saying that before, even before we took these corners, that you were saying you find that this car is short shifting.
Yeah,
it's a short shift.
Like you got to short shift this if you want to have really nice cornering on the street. Once again, on the track where you can afford to go a little beyond the limit and have room to make a mistake, fine. On the street, this is just not confidence inspiring enough, I think, if you have a top of gear or close to top of gear around a corner.
I was much more comfortable in the Elantra. I hate to keep bringing it up.
No, it's true. Like, you were sending it in the Elantra.
I'm not as obviously I'm driving manual now, so I'm not as comfortable in general. But I did not feel like I was in pushing it. I didn't even feel like I was pushing that car to its limit, honestly.
No, and it was very approachable. I think we probably went to 8 or 9 10.
Yeah.
Off its capabilities, but it was just so progressive, which the Civic Type-R just unfortunately isn't. And
of course, I've got a Corolla in front of me now, so I can't really do much.
I hate Corolla drivers, right?
I know, right?
Yeah, he has a Corolla. That's fine.
It's a Corolla Type-R, all right?
A lot of fundamentals are really good in this car.
Oh, did I just turn on the AC?
I think we just somehow turned on the AC really loud. The pedal positioning is great. The shifter is great. I like the seating position. I think a lot of stuff is really, really good about this.
The seat itself is not going to be a one-size-fits-all, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, that's also, I had a buddy of mine, 6'3", 220 pounds, muscle. He, the bolstering on the side kind of dug into his thighs, so he was very uncomfortable in this. So just do a seat fitting.
Let's be honest, a guy like that belongs in a Camaro. Oh wait.
No, maybe not a Camaro either.
But even for me, I'm not the biggest guy, but I do have some lats from doing pull-ups, and I do feel like I'm struggling. You might even see it in the video, I'm kind of repositioning a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure where I belong here.
I would like a little bit more lower back support, but otherwise I love the materials and...
Not a fan of the red carpets, but that's,
I kind of dig them.
I don't know how long those are going to last. Oh, we didn't talk about it as a daily driver.
Oh, right, let's
Right.
do that. It's a great daily driver. It is comfy.
I mean, the combination of this being a hatchback has lots of cargo space.
Yeah.
The suspension is fine over bumps. It's not fantastic.
It's always still like a sport, like a hot hatch, right? Or
Yeah.
a super hatch, whatever you want to call it.
It
But
has enough power, obviously, to make it fun for a daily driver and then some.
yeah, and no, this is like I took it to a wedding. That was like 2.5 hours out with friends. That was great. It was very comfy. Fuel economy is pretty good. We're pushing it right now. 9
And you
liters.
can put 87 in this if you want to save money. It's going to have less horsepower,
Yeah,
but it's an option.
it is an option, and so
It's
yeah.
a good daily driver.
So and I think that's where we kind of can wrap it up, right? There's a lot good here, and it's just a lot of people really like this, and there's reasons for that. I just disagree with a lot of what they're saying, and occasionally I have a completely different opinion than other people. But if I think about what this costs. In Canada right now, you can't even build a price. I think
Let's be honest, even if you want it, you can't get it.
Yeah, so or you get it for like 20K markup from a dealer. But as spec, this technically costs $51,830.
Nah.
And an Elantra N is 12K less than a manual. I'm like, ooh. Like the Elantra N is a little slower, fair enough, but I think it drives better. The interior is comparable. I might prefer the Civic a little more.
I prefer the seats in the Elantra. Just the seats.
Agreed. Everything else I prefer about the Civic. Tech is pretty similar. Civic is more practical. But I'm not buying an Elantra N or a Civic Type-R for it to be the most practical car ever. Like I want to have a practical daily, which both of them do fairly well.
They're practical. They're not Camaros.
Yeah, but this is not 12K more for me.
No,
This
it's
is not
not.
$12,000 more. It is.
So let's go over what you're getting for that 12,000. You're getting what, 35 more horsepower approximately?
Yeah, like 35, 40-ish more horsepower. You get more cargo space.
Yep. And that's pretty
Yeah,
much
that's it.
pretty much it.
That's it.
And then, looks, if you like the way this looks better, that's subjective.
This is a little less techy than the Elantra N probably, but which one do you prefer between?
Honestly, I prefer the interior of the Elantra. I like the infotainment better, and I like the seats better.
The infotainment was really good, but
This looks old school to me.
I love
And
this stuff.
and
It looks
listen,
very.
listen to that.
Yeah, it's a little squeaky. And this stuff.
Those are going to be subjective, right?
Yeah, like that's very subjective. I just don't see $12,000 of value.
What's not subjective is you're
the
not getting
Elantra.
$12,000 of value.
Like it's just,
That's not subjective.
and you can actually get an Elantra N. If you need practicality, get a Kona N. Fair enough, no manual, but this is just like. This is, for me, just personally, not as fun to drive. It is not as engaging to drive. It is very fast, no doubt about that. But I feel like it's almost like you try to make it so fast, you kind of lost the aspect of a hot hatch, and that is fun drivability. I really got into this was kind of figuring, hey, I'm gonna really like this.
And I got into the Elantra being like, I don't really care about driving this car. And like, I never thought I'd be in a position to like, I miss that car, I want to drive it again.
We have at multiple times have been seriously thinking
I was
if
pricing
there's
it
a
out.
way for us to get it. The Elantra N is that good. And I think there's really not much more to add here. Insanely capable, yet compromised and not as dynamically good as I had wanted it to be, at least on street.
I would have to concur with that conclusion.
Anyhow, thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and
If you guys liked it, bell, subscribe, comment, tell us you hate us.
like, dislike. If you have a Type-R, tell us why we're wrong. If you have an Elantra N, tell us why we're right. Thank you, and goodbye.